Hey everybody, Al Franken here with one of my informative yet very entertaining videos. Last November, the Spotsylvania County School Board in Virginia voted for a good old-fashioned book burning. You'll recall that the Nazis gave book burning a bad name back in 1933 when they started burning books written by Jews and socialists. So it took a lot of guts for the Spotsylvania School Board to pass a book burning resolution. Now, some of the books the school board wanted to burn were books they deemed sexually explicit. And there's been a call around the country to ban books that folks like Texas Governor Greg Abbott consider pornography. Specifically, the Spotsylvania School Board wanted to put a match to Beloved, the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel written by Toni Morrison, who was the 1993 recipient of the Nobel Prize for Pornography. I mean, literature. Now, the call for the book burning created some controversy there in Spotsylvania. Beloved, you see, tells the story of a former enslaved woman haunted by the memories of horrors that she suffered while she was enslaved. Some people in Virginia and elsewhere considered the book to be pornography because it depicts violent sexual assault of enslaved women and girls by their masters. Gee, who would have thought that that happened during slavery? Well, there was a public meeting and a number of parents were pretty upset.
My 16-year-old boy gets quite enough pornography at home on his iPad as it is. Yeah. School is supposed to be a break in the pornography. That's right.
Well, Beloved became a big political issue in Virginia's governor's race last year. Now, here's a very powerful ad the Youngkin campaign ran featuring the distraught mother of a high school senior who had been assigned Beloved for his AP English class.
As a parent, it's tough to catch everything. So when my son showed me his reading assignment, my heart sunk. It was some of the most explicit material you can imagine. I met with lawmakers. They couldn't believe what I was showing them. Their faces turned bright red with embarrassment.
Let's take another look at her hands.
I met with lawmakers.
Oh man. Now think about it. If a 17-year-old high school senior is traumatized just reading about a fictional enslaved woman being raped, just imagine how traumatizing it was for the real enslaved women who were actually raped, which is kind of the point of the book, isn't it? Now, the mom in the ad, Laura Murphy, as you might have guessed, is a Republican activist. But she really was upset when her son showed her what was in the book years ago. That's right, years ago. But she's still clearly very upset. Let's look at the hands again. And her son? Well, he's now a lawyer for the Republican Party. He was that traumatized. Now, this turned out to be quite an effective ad for Youngkin. They really had hit on something. What the hell are they teaching our children? They're teaching white kids to be ashamed of being white. It's called critical race theory. Critical race theory? What's that? Well, I don't know exactly. All I know is that it tells white children that they're racist. Well, that's terrible. And wouldn't you know it, critical race theory became an enormous issue in the Virginia governor's race.
I'm told you're having great success because there is a revolt against critical race theory. Is that true?
There is a revolt against the way our schools have been managed comprehensively, and critical race theory is a big part of it.
Okay, here's the thing. Critical race theory has never been taught in any public school in Virginia.
So we've watched critical race theory come into our schools and try to divide our children.
Now, Youngkin knew he was bullshitting. He was COO of a private equity firm with assets of over $15 billion. I'm pretty sure they do research.
We will absolutely rid the political agenda that it's made its way into our classroom by banning critical race theory on day one.
So what is critical race theory anyway, other than something that's never been taught in Virginia public schools? Well, by the late 1970s, it had become clear that despite the civil rights victories of the 60s, racial disparities in economic, political, and social conditions had persisted more than expected. So, a small group of legal scholars attempted to understand why and undertook a deep historical analysis of what drives ongoing racial inequality. Among their conclusions that, while yes, some individuals are racist, racism and its outcomes are perpetrated through cultural norms, institutional rules, and laws and regulations. I know, boring, but you can see why this isn't taught in grammar school, or for that matter, high school or college. Clinical race theory is taught and studied exclusively at a number of law schools throughout the country. For example, at the University of Mississippi School of Law. This is Brittany Murphy. Murphy was born and raised in one of the most Republican counties in Mississippi. She was president of her high school Teenage Republicans. She and her parents voted for Trump, and she interned for the state's Republican governor. At the University of Mississippi Law School, Murphy enrolled in Law 743, critical race theory, because she wanted to know what this hotly debated topic was all about. Of course, it wasn't at all what she had heard it to be, and she gained a whole new perspective on racial progress in America, or the lack of it. So, when the Mississippi State Senate Republicans passed a bill aimed to ban the discussion of critical race theory, Murphy wrote them a letter. To date, this course has been the most impactful and enlightening course I have taken throughout my entire undergraduate career and graduate education at the university. The prohibition of courses and teachings such as these is taking away the opportunity for people of every background and race to come together and discuss very important topics that would otherwise go undiscussed. So why all this bullshit? Simple, it works. Let me quote a memo written by one Christopher Rufo of the right-wing Manhattan Institute, who has been one of the pioneers in creating and perpetuating myths about critical race theory. The goal is to have the public read something crazy in the newspaper and immediately think critical race theory. We have decodified the term and will recodify it to annex the entire range of cultural constructions that are unpopular with Americans. This is today's Republican Party. They censure Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and call the people who stormed the Capitol, leaving 140 Capitol Police with broken noses, jaws, and vertebrae, missing fingers, gouged eyes, and traumatic brain injuries. They call those rioters patriots. And now they're pushing bans on critical race theory all over the country. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis has proposed, and the state Senate passed, a law that will allow parents to sue teachers who teach anything that makes their kids feel any, quote, discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any form of psychological distress on account of their race. Well, that's going to make it fun to teach American history in Florida. Okay, there was this long period when some people were forced to work for other people without getting paid, and these people. I'm sorry. What is it, TJ? No, it's not like your unpaid internship at your dad's law firm. No, that was more voluntary. Okay, these people involuntarily worked. It's about 250 years they did that, and then there was a war about it. And after the war, it got better. That was called Reconstruction. And then after that, it got worse. And then lately, it got a little better. So, is everybody okay? Everybody okay? Why are you crying, Ashley? Oh man, we are so screwed. Well, I hope you're enjoying these, and if they're cheering you up, please please subscribe to this channel, and I hope you can come to see me on the only former U.S. Senator currently on tour by checking it out at alfranken.com.